Opening up today, some interesting things taking place. The SPY trying to gap up here in the morning. Got to check on some data, but first I just wanted to talk about the fact that Apple is seeing a major gap up. I hear there's some news about some good stuff from China happening there. And looks like, as I look at the data here, building permits go up 1.428 million. Building permits month over month down negative 2.9%. Housing starts 1.354 million. And that's a little lower than expected. So one thing with Apple here, we're going to pay attention to actually an hourly chart. I think this would be good for today. See if this is a quick turn up. Maybe that's able to turn back down. But for now, this is a positive trend, continuing to be positive in positive territory. So we should take that in consideration. Amazon trying to make that move up. Not confirming that hourly back down. I really like that look from the hourly as far as if we're going to see selling come in. That would be an obvious confirmation. You can see the 30-minute a little further away from the center line, but 30-minute would work as well. Nvidia did cross over, completing the divergence, and we'll just notice that the 2-hour has not crossed. This is the main signal that I am looking for Nvidia to fall here. So another thing just to pay attention to as we go forward is we just got some data out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at nail early on today, and it looks like it's kind of liking that data, not able to curl down on this 2-hour yet. For something like nail, the 4-hour chart is going to be your best friend. You see divergence all across these highs here, really getting flat. And since we've extended it almost, what, 4 times now, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, that's going to add up to a lot of distribution to the downside, a lot of selling that can pile in if that is able to curl over. As of right now, though, I'm going to see how this is not the worst setup in the world, right? Overall, we should take it for what it is, and that looks bullish to me. Right here on the 4-hour, it said, hey, positivity ever since this level right here of about 161, and we have not looked bearish ever since, according to the 4-hour chart. As you go into 30 minutes and stuff like that, you can see little divergences, why we're looking like we could teeter down, why we have good structure to head down, and if the housing market is going to suffer, well, then the entire market might suffer. So we'll see if this is able to break down today, but most stuff is just curling up into positive territory, right? We have things like Palantir, 2 hours by the center line, no real reversal signals here on the 2-hour, so we'll look for some kind of divergence maybe leading into next week at this point. I still think that we are just in the process of forming this top, if not building liquidity at the top for some kind of bigger drop. That's what I think is going on here. We can see that the DIA, aka the Dow Jones ETF here, we can just see that this has confirmed divergence, and this is actually going down while the market is actually going, while the SPY and the Qs are actually going up. So that's what we're going to pay attention to, the fact that why is the Dow not participating? That is something to pay attention to there. As we look over at AMC and GME, they are holding at okay levels, but we do not want these 2 hours to cross down. We do not want the 2-hour to cross down for either one of these guys if you want to see something good, because you really don't want that to cross down, because then you have potential to cross down a daily chart. This has curled up, not the best bar for this curl up for AMC, but it is there. And then GME is curling up, and it actually looks really, really nice. You can see how tight this is getting on the Bollinger Band. Let's put some mayo on it this morning. Good. All right. Because this looks really good, right? You're about to go into positive territory. You can see how you have the big swings getting smaller, getting smaller, getting smaller, getting smaller, getting really tight. Now we have to see if there's going to be something explosive. So that's what we'll pay attention to. So what we can still pay attention to today is going to be if that 2-hour rolls over. That might be a good sign, right? We might do, or that might be something to react to. As of this morning, volatility not able to turn up on the 2-hour, but early on this morning, we're going to look for if any kind of divergence here finally forms, some good divergence for volatility to say, hey, that 2-hour is going to curl up. Just so you are aware, the daily scale has rolled down, which tells us there is a likelihood for short squeezing here. The only problem, and why this is a little bit different than say in the past when this curled down, you're going to notice that as we curled down in the past, we were pretty much same level, but we did not have the 50 across that 200 back in these times. That's why we kind of thought that was going to make the 50 really even out and get back below the 200. Why we're paying attention to this now is because you have the 50 above the 200 for an extended period of time. You notice that in the past when we did call short squeezes, we overall were looking for that to cross down, and then we were looking at to break the 50 and break the 200. So even though we have the first part of the squeeze signal being that the MACD has crossed, we still need to take into consideration that it is above the 50, it is above the 200. So once we break the 50, maybe go to the 200. Once we break the 200, hey, we might be in some kind of parabolic squeeze at that point. I think that we're going to get some reaction from this level. If we do break down for another week or so, maybe we do go test that 200, but I highly, highly doubt that we actually break down below that 200. We have seen us behave as a bear market for a long time right now, where the 50 has crossed the 200 and we've remained up there. So if that's going to happen for an extended period of time, most likely we will see some kind of at least correction at this point. But since the Qs have that lower high, we can always talk about maybe a stock market crash. So thank you guys for joining us today. Make sure to give a like to the channel as we open up in about 3 minutes. All right, 3 minutes we're going to open up. I might just click around and look at some stuff that we've been looking at this week and last week. One thing I want to pay attention to might be DJT, right? We might want to go look at that real quick. That thing has been tapering off a little bit, right? We noticed that that is trying to go down. But here's the thing, that 30-minute is still positive, right? So this could be some form of consolidation. Now, this has gone up for a very long time, so a 2-hour pullback would be good, and it looks like you're getting signs of that right now. So look for whenever that 2 hour is able to cross back up, because that is some very heavy momentum. What could be happening here on the daily scale? Well, and you'll notice this too yesterday, and this is why I have that 5 now, because you'll notice a lot of the time when I go look at a lot of these stocks, they're going to get those reactions on the 5, especially during these type of moves. You notice all these times where you hit the 5, hit the 5, hit the 5. So now you got to see if that 30-minute can use the 5 to go higher. If it breaks below the 5, you have a chance to maybe even go all the way down and test the 20, which would be around 2250 probably at the open today. IWM did have an interesting signal, which is actually not producing at this moment, right? IWM is actually seeing another move higher. It might mean you're not necessarily wrong to think stocks or IWM needs to pull down here, but you have to take yourself as, hey, I might be wrong right now, but if my timing can be a little better, maybe that's the real play. So we'll be looking for that throughout the day, see if IWM can pop up, see if it can roll back down, give you a steep divergence point. You already had steep divergence right here, so I'm kind of doubting that this is just some kind of minor thing like this. I really think this will pull down a little bit deeper, unless we see some other stocks start to just rip, because we're seeing some of those short seller stocks that are starting to rip. One thing we were looking at this week was COS. COS is consolidating at this level. You want to pay attention to these guys that are seeing these rapid moves, because you can get an extension of that move, right? We can get an extension of that move if we actually do break through consolidation here. Let's just take it from the moving averages here. We can see that maybe that does extend all the way up to around 950. So this is good consolidation. You obviously need to see a break up or a break down, so pay attention to that. But for the most part, 30-minute, you're in a positive trend. Good sign for that one. But a lot of things are in positive trend, except for Tesla. Tesla is not in the positive trend, right? It's right at that 5, right? This little blue line is the 5 on shorter time frames, right? It is a 5-day moving average that I'm having pop up on my shorter time frames. Seeing if Tesla can take that back. If it does, I think you have a good shot to go react to this zone. But as we've reacted sideways, a lot of the time when you do that behavior, you do want to head lower. So I'm expecting, you know, for the most part, I should say, hey, if an hourly curls down, right? If an hourly curls down, then we're probably heading down into our zone down here before earnings. Cool, cool. Good stuff. Dow Jones opening up a little bit down there, trying to build back up. We noticed that TLT actually catching a little bit of a bounce here. And the SPY opening up at higher levels, and we will see what this has in store for us throughout the day. Just so you are aware, the dollar has turned back down for just a brief period of time here. We'll see if that adds up to just a reaction to the 5. You notice that this blue staggery line, what have we been doing throughout this move for the dollar? We've been following the 5, right? We've even gotten excited and been really following maybe like a 1. But for the most part, you've been seeing how that 5, we remained above it. So the time we want to pay attention to the dollar, and if we're going to see some kind of squeeze, if we start breaking below it, or if we see the market start to sell off while the dollar sells off, we will watch that for you. So we still have to see reversal signals. We still have to see the PCC, but I just wanted to show you how you're really riding that 5, and we really rid that the whole time. Now you're getting a reaction to it. We have a ton of little divergences down here, so time to pay attention. Maybe the dollar does have to pull back in this area. HYG, let's see, volatility trying to turn up again right here. See if that 2 hour can turn up. Maybe we get this 30-minute to reject here, give us some kind of little rejection divergence. When I pull this up on a 15, you're gonna see it's a little bit more wavy and the divergence is very, very clear. You see how that's so close to going positive. So I'd be paying attention if that 15 rolls up, but obviously if the 2 hour rolls up, that's more the bigger deal in my opinion. As we can see, that is starting to fade a little bit in the early parts of the day. Remember, this still can be some kind of structure to head higher, right? Maybe we just got excited. We need to pull down to grab those buyers now, fill this gap. We already did, so maybe we head to the upside. If this can curl up, that would be the most likely thing going forward. Do 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 do. We have not been wrong for a month because we took calls right here. We said this was a bullish run, so we're not wrong. You are a friend. Yeah, we've really actually called this pretty well. In August, this short squeeze, called it. This said double, the top's coming in here, big pullback, go into our zone is what we were stating. Okay, saw the reversal signals again, went up. So you're just not watching the whole video. You're just reading the thumbnail, buddy. Cool. Oh. Pull this up real quick. I'm doing good, Nazim. How you doing? Hope everyone's doing good today. It's Friday. You gotta have a good day on Friday. You know what I'm saying? Some options expiration. We haven't looked at Celsius in a while. I'm down to look at that. Celsius, all right, Celsius giving you a pretty obvious one that looked like, hey, this could be structured to head higher, right? This always, double tops always look like this pretty much. They always look like, what is going on? Can this break to the upside, or is this divergence that's going to break down? You see that confirmed down, never turned back up. So throughout this entire 30-minute divergence here, it was never able to turn back up. You have turned down the 2 hour, but that could just be a pullback. And you're noticing we're getting a little reaction here. So let's see if we can take back that 5, maybe use this as liquidity in the future to do something interesting, right? So that's what I would think of right now. If that 2 hour curls up, positivity. And then if the 30-minute rotates back down, you'd say negativity, right? We don't necessarily have reversal signals here, but I would say a test of 33.38 would be good to see what's going to happen going forward. Yeah, that's why you got to be careful with earnings, right? You can say, oh, this really looks like it needs to tear down, but they say one good thing and boom to the upside. So I did not, you know, that's why I don't take any plays really with earnings. Oh, let him be, Robert. Let him be. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. First timer in the channel. Any thoughts on AI? I think people have had me look at this for the most part. One thing with AI that we noticed in the past was this right here. So this is, I believe we talked about a daily divergence with this one, but the main thing was this divergence is not very good, right? You see how it's very, very flat, if not even there. See, it's like very, very flat, if not even down a little bit for the RSI. So that did lead us to believe, hey, with this type of behavior here, now you've maybe seen some killing of momentum, but we shouldn't really see it as like, hey, this can be some kind of rapid move. Like to really see this thing get back, take back some great levels here. I'm actually surprised it took back the 200. I really thought at this point it might dip down one more time like this. That would have been great. So as of right now though, it looks very good, right? You can just kind of swing this thing. Probably a 4 hour swing looks pretty nice. If you really pull up a 4 hour, you can see how that's dipping down in this area. That was the swing to take back the 200. So it's in a positive trend on some bigger time frames, which is a good sign. So we didn't really have the best spacing out signals here, but it worked out, right? And you can say, oh, 4-hour swing to the upside, boom to the upside. Okay, awesome. Then it pulls down. We pull down to that center line again, maybe cross up, just like right here, right? You pulled up. You probably had little, 2-hour divergence or something. Okay, you cross down. You're not able to cross back over that daily chart. So then you say, okay, 4-hour turns up. Okay, now we have that swing to the upside. I'm sorry. It's been stuck in my head for like 24 hours. Probably not. Probably not, Michael. Most likely not. No. The other thing for this, we can look at shorter time frames because the 2-hour. Okay, so 2-hour as well. Because you don't have reversal signals, and this is a great move, right? Got you pretty overbought. You can see an extension of that if this would just cross up, just to get it a little tighter for you. Just to get it a little tighter for you. This is just one that's in a positive trend, so you don't necessarily want to be like, oh, I'm looking for big divergences or something like that, right? This tried to base out. Now you're just in that, like the second stage of that positive trend, able to break above this, able to break above this. Now you're retesting that level. So you have to be aware this could be cup handle, right, to the downside. But also, if that 2-hour crosses up, swing trading would say, hey, that's going to take out this high, go to make the next one because you're in positive trend there. For the 30-minute for this guy, very flat, and you got some divergence down there. So you actually have a good shot of turning up here on the 2-hour. You just have to be aware that this is not necessarily the best look in the world. If that would rotate back down, where are you? Negative territory. So it's kind of like 30-minute turns down in negative territory, bad. But if this can hold up, even if it reacts down and holds up, right? Anytime that curls up the 2-hour, I would say over the next 48 hours, that might be a good thing. As long as it doesn't sell off too much or something like that before that happens. We are still confirming these signals here. These are still confirmed, right? Now we want to just see, does that build back up, right? Is this some kind of flagging to head higher? That's what we're kind of looking for here. If that does happen, then you do have the cup and handle possible measured move. Maybe you're actually able to get up to a monthly expected move up towards 593.83. What up, J7? How's it going? Yeah, Afghan, I hope that was overall helpful, and thank you for joining the channel. Really appreciate you. IWM gap fill, then heads back up. Yeah, it looks like we could, but I'm kind of looking for if we create something outside of the weekly expected move today. If this 30-minute can just curl up for a little bit and then you see something like that, that's kind of what I'm looking for, because you already have the divergence here and it's very significant. So I would assume this would be a little bit worse, maybe to go fill that gap at least. But you are still in a positive trend, right? This is very, very positive. So anytime that turns up, you're going to see positivity. Oh, stretch it out. Tesla is just a hard one, man. Tesla's tough because you're just seeing the immediate move down. Where it wasn't tough was up here, right? That's where it wasn't tough. That's where we were pointing out the big 30-minute, right? So we were pretty good on Tesla, right? Made that second move up because they're very high on the MACD with the first point of divergence, and it's not on the MACD and RSI at the same time. Notice when it became significant, right across these levels, okay, that's where the downfall actually happened, and then we've been in a negative trend pretty much ever since. Notice we're just below that center line more than we're above it. That's a negative trend. But overall, we were talking about the daily scale here as well. Can see major weakness. This could be some form of double top. Now you've reacted to the 5. We'll see if that can reject. I think an hourly crossing down is what I'd pay attention to for Tesla. Look at that hourly divergence too. Very significant, already confirmed. I think NVIDIA's divergence is going to be important here because SPY really looks like it wants to make that next move higher actually with this type of look. It's very controlled. Volatility starting to turn down a little bit here. Kids done up school today? We're looking for it to rebound for next week. Well, this is the kind of look that you're looking for. Maybe some kind of divergence, right? Some kind of test of the 50. might be necessary, right? So maybe you dip down a little lower. So you can watch out if that crosses down. That does mean volatility continuing to turn down. Well, solar stocks, it kind of makes sense. It depends on the stock, but I don't know what company was hit by it, but I do know that one company was, like, all of their fields of solar panels or whatever was hit by the hurricane or some weather of some sort, and all of it was ruined. So in like a matter of a couple of weeks, it went from producing energy, still paying back their bills to make it, to, oh, we just lost everything. Netflix just has earnings, guys, so that's just gonna be, you know, that's just something crazy happened on earnings. It went up, right? 50-50 shot there. That's why I don't do anything with Netflix into earnings. Right here, you're looking for this right now. This is really tapered, right? So you're heading down, taper off, see if that can curl up. Your actually 30-minute is close to going into positive territory, but this is at a negative trend right now. It's not even oversold. So you need to make sure that is confirming. And then you see, okay, that shows some green there. Can we turn up a 2-hour? That's kind of what you're looking for here. You did have a little tiny 2-hour divergence, pretty significant there on the RSI, but you're still pretty deep into negative territory. So it's good when you're deep into negative territory to see that come down for a possible double bottom. That is a good thing. Now you can start to, you see how that 5 is really close to us. You can take that back, start to use it as support and head in the other direction if that were to take place. Now you have to be aware that there is structure to head down. So if this does get a reaction up, you don't want to break that line down there. Looks like a 2-hour rolling back up would be a good thing. You do have divergency of the opportunity to turn up a daily. If you do turn up a daily and that goes positive, it still is deep enough into negative territory to see a lower high again. So you see the obvious structure to break down for something like this. But it looks like some kind of reaction could come if that 30-minute can turn up. Always got to be managing the trade. BA, Boeing. The only thing you really have for Boeing is it's getting to a great level. That is a great level to get to. You can see you have plenty of liquidity in here. So now it would be a good thing to drop down into that. And it did it with this wick, but is that going to be enough, or are you needing to go down for a little bit more time and then get really into this and then use that to go higher? So you're kind of looking like a head and shoulders. You can see that the 2-hour pretty damn overbought. Actually, not really, not that overbought. I thought it was going to be more overbought than that. It really wasn't. But if a 2-hour could pull down, I think that would be a good thing. You will have earnings coming up soon, so earnings is always something to watch out for. 50-50 shot there. Bitcoin did do something interesting. Turned back up on a 2-hour just now. Okay, I was watching this a little bit this morning, just showing how there is 2-hour divergences here. Well, now you're seeing that move up. So 2 things you got to be aware of here. If this curls up, hey, swing trade says that can go higher. If it creates and forms and completes that divergence, watch out, because that could mean a 4-hour pullback is coming. So we'll pay attention to that. But for the most part, if this does break through, you would say a higher price point would be likely here. Sometimes I like to make a range for BITO or something like that if I'm going to trade Bitcoin, just to see if I can make some kind of weekly range. Interesting there, though. AMC now up, what is that, 1.42%. So this is more the look you want. So this is better than the curl up yesterday, to be honest. If you hold like this, that's more what you're looking for. You know, this curl up here was on a negative bar. I know it's green, but it's minus 0.24. So you don't really like to see that. Then you see that break to the upside. Okay, awesome. That looks good now, as long as I can hold. 30-minute is crossing up into positive territory. About to get a little overbought, but you'll notice this too. We took back the 5 for now. If we can hold the 5 for a long time, that would mean decent stuff for something like AMC. Gold actually seeing a major upward move, kind of getting rid of the divergence at this point, so good look there. Gotta watch for the 2-hour to turn down, but this could be a whole new sequence of positivity here. Mara really seeing some good stuff as well. Daily rejection turned up, which you would expect Mara to be at higher levels actually with how Bitcoin's been lately. Palantir getting a reaction up. Remember, this reacted down to a weekly downside move and then curled back up. All right, so we'll see if this can fall down. You're starting to react back up to where that 5. You notice that that has turned around. So if this wants to reject from there and curl down, that would be a bad thing, but pretty positive move. And if the 2-hour does curl up, we didn't necessarily have reversal signals up here, right? This is lower. This is lower, if not flat. And so if we're gonna make one now, a 2-hour little pop like this, and then we'll watch if something forms up here. But overall, it's just continuing the positive trend, right? Don't be in the gutter with the it clown. Yeah, I don't know, things just pop in my head and I say them sometimes. What's the weekly for the SPY again? Let's get that up for you. The weekly for the SPY at this moment for this week for today's close, right? This is going to update on Sunday, so make sure you're subscribed. But 587.67. How much would it close with below 580? Kill the SPY options. Well, I actually don't know if it would do too much damage, just because I was looking at the options data a little bit, and you have a call wall for the SPY, or I'm sorry, you have puts. You have a lot of puts for the SPY. So if it closed at 580, that would probably be the best place for it to land. You wouldn't pay out any of the puts. You wouldn't pay out most of the calls, or I would say at least the 2 big ones to the upside. You wouldn't pay those out. You'd pay out the other ones, but for the most part, a close at 580 would be, I would say, more the max pain level, but max pain saying 569. Apple kind of giving it up right now. It's where you just want to see, right? The timing can be a little off. As of right now, the 2-hour is trying to see that curl back up. It's trying so hard, but got so far. And in the end, it didn't even matter. Oh yeah, that's definitely always possible, Elias. And the way we're gonna see that is if we get some kind of big, like, let's just say you're talking about like a big 2-hour push, right? Like some big 2-hour push. Well, a lot of the time in those pushes, because volatility does trade a little bit more, or well, it gives the reading more. It opens up at like 2 a.m. for me. Well, you can see like some kind of breakout type move like this where we head up like that, and then you'll see a little divergence or something up here. And then a lot of the time the SPY will make that at the same time. And that's when we want to pay attention. If they're not at the same time, we want to be like, ooh, this might not get to 600. But I think if volatility can make a 30-minute divergence one more time, we see a pull down, maybe into some key levels. I think if you pulled down into this area and then based out and curled back up, I think that would be enough to get you really by that center line, get people bearish, and then you turn back up into positive territory and boom, you head towards maybe 600 or at least 593, because that's the topside monthly expected move. So we'll see. If it's able to hold up a little bit better, actually, I think you have a better chance of getting to 600. But right now we just have to pay attention to today, because we actually did confirm a reversal signal here. We did confirm it. We have not gone negative yet, but we did confirm a reversal signal. So that's something to pay attention to for today. Volatility as of right now too, trying to go up, but really going down, right? Going down, continuing that trend. Don't really have any divergence points just yet. Maybe a rejection divergence pops up, but you don't want to hope and pray and take a bet on that. You know, you don't really want to hope and pray for something to happen. You just want to see the signal and then react. See the signal, then react. See the 30-minute turn up, see if that's able to turn up a 2-hour, and then say, okay, volatility is back. Well, you'd think it would be good for volatility, but volatility actually dropping down. Dropping down. Continuing that negative trend. And it has curled down on the daily. Now, I believe, this is why I'm kind of mad, because I've noticed, I used to use that 9, the 13, the sequence, the TD sequentials, but those got deleted off my chart a long time ago. I went over here and I was like, where is it? Nowhere to be found. Kind of lame. I gotta look up that. All right, let me go look over at some stuff on my other charts for just a moment here. Look at pull up a 30-minute for you guys while I'm looking around, okay? There's dailies, weeklies, all that good stuff. Okay, nothing there. Let's go on here again. Switch that over and it's this. This is one thing, I'm gonna bookmark this. I don't mind that. Nothing as far as that site goes, so I'm gonna go to a different one. Netflix does see price hikes after its earning beat. Trying to find that Apple thing too. I know it had to do with China. Can't find it right now. We'll look later. You see how the squeeze can happen because Microsoft, Google, Meta, all these things could turn back up. AMD, Tesla trying to take back the 5 at this moment. We'll see if that can happen by end of day. All right, Mara running into our line of resistance that we have there. So Mara, in order to get really bullish, I think it has to get through that 1873. And we're just noticing that you're making a bunch of divergence points here. So we'll see. Most of the time, I just follow Bitcoin for stuff like Mara. So we'll see if Bitcoin can make another 2-hour divergence. Good confirmation here of the signals. Now we just gotta wait and see. Let options expiration do its thing. Ooh. Okay. It's actually a really steep hourly signal if this thing's gonna fade. For NVIDIA. NVIDIA, we've confirmed this, but I want you to see this one's a little bit better. The hourly looks more, it's on the same, right? It's on the charts at the same time. So if we're not going to see that 30-minute curl back up, that means this hourly might be able to curl down, and I think that would be some good confirmation there. Okay, this is probably enough to curl down the 30-minute. There you go. So as of right now, bullishness is on the table. We'll see if this can flip back around, make a divergence. But right now, you want to take the signal for what it is, and that says higher prices for stocks. That says SPY goes higher. That's what that says right there. But if that could turn around, then that might stop, right? We can talk about it a little bit differently. Got my lip now. See what some people are talking about today. Sorry, I'm just listening to something real quick. Let me see what data comes out next week too. Not a lot of data next week. And then October 29th, we get the JOLTS job openings. But I think we could see a squeeze all the way. We'll see. Today's kind of a big day. Because we got to see if there's follow through for these type of signals. How you doing, Freddie? We're doing good. Chilling. Oh. Little slow to start out. You say daily scale? Yeah, there is a little flat divergence on the RSI, not on the MACD at the same time, but you did take back this, and you're riding that 5. So look for that reaction, maybe to the 200, but you would also say, hey, 2 hours starting to go positive, right? That's a good thing. So if that's not going to cross, 30-minute can just cross up into positive territory, right? We can see the 30-minute here. See that's down by the center line, curls up. Okay, test this high, maybe even go make a new one. And I think you would test something like 2588, right? This level here seemed pretty important in the past. I think a test of that level does make some good sense there. If not a little higher, 26, I would just say 26 flat. But for the most part, daily signal looked good a few days ago. When that completed, pretty good. Now you're kind of seeing, can we actually make this thing go higher? Because you didn't have the best reversal signals, but you do have it. You have it on the RSI, very flat. Not on the MACD. So we should treat it more like, hey, this could just be a bounce. So if I see like this 30-minute pop up and I go, oh, like this, well, we might need to pull down again in order to head higher in the future. Volatility still turning down at this moment. SPY not breaking to a new high though, as volatility makes that new low. Well, the Qs, for the most part, you want to say, hey, the shorter time frame, the 30-minute has curled up. So what does that mean? That means positivity right now, right? So if I want this to turn down, I think the real good signal is just like, because it's on the SPY, right? I think the good signal for things to turn down is just an hourly to turn down, if that's going to happen today. Already happened today. What am I thinking? Or was it NVIDIA? Is the NVIDIA... Yeah, it was NVIDIA hourly. This can give you a hint of which direction stocks want to go. You always want to pay attention to what NVIDIA is doing. For the most part, though, the Qs, they have not turned down on an hourly yet. and you had some divergence, but not the best divergence here for the hourly, the 30-minute. You do have divergence all across this right now. Not necessarily here because you didn't go make that new high. So as this is turning up into what? Positive territory, you have to take that into consideration. This can extend, and then we can see if that rolls back down. You can see if it rolls back down like this morning, right? This doesn't have to go make a new high, but as it has curled up into positive territory, that is a likely thing to happen. If that would turn back down, you see this, we curled up, pulled down, kind of flaggy, right? And then pops back up and it curls up saying momentum is good here. That's what it looks like. But for the most part, I just want to see, is that going to roll down today? Because we've actually confirmed a pretty good signal here for the SPY. So is this flag going to play out for the SPY, or is it going to look like it's going to play out, hit a daily expected move, and then turn right back down? Right? There's a lot that can happen. That's why I like to move my positions a lot, John. I like to trade like back and forth, right? I'm like, oh, okay, we look like we have some weakness here. Okay, we turned down. Now we go to this level. Oh, that's some big selling coming in. Okay, turn back up into positive territory. So that's where I'm like, okay, I don't want to take anything to the downside anymore, right? That was right around these areas. I'm like, hey, now I don't want to take anything to the downside. Awesome, I can get out. See this, curls back down, take a chance with it. If it curls up again, I'll be right back out, right? That's kind of what I'm doing with volatility. But the interesting thing is the SPY's not making that new high as volatility breaks down lower, right? That is breaking down pretty well there. There are some short squeeze signals. We do have the dollar dropping. We have people going to the call side right now. But we don't necessarily have the dollar rising anymore. It's risen for a long time, so you can still take it into consideration. 554 by end of October. Not necessarily. No, this is its own percentage, right? So in the monthly scale, this is kind of its own percentage. It's its own 68. So you would say it does still have a 68% chance to land here, but it also has it here, 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 here. So you really want to just see, are we confirming down, you know, bigger time frames? Is NVIDIA helping you out figure that out too? Right? Is NVIDIA able to help you figure that out? Because if this hourly would cross, that's more the good look for divergence, right? You see how steep that is, but that's not happening right now. But you don't really want to think of it like, oh, if I'm out of a weekly and I only have like a week and a half left, then it has to go up, or it only has a 32% chance of getting there. No, it's its own percentage. It's just you want to see if it's likely to happen that week. If the weekly 68% zone doesn't really land in that area, right? Then you would say, okay, now it's kind of like this week we have a 32% chance to get there. Does that make sense? So if I go like this, let's just say we dropped and the weekly looked like one is here, price action is right here, and we're going into the last day of October. Okay, then that would tell me, okay, there is a 32% chance to get here, but it would make sense for us to land there on the monthly scale. It just would be a 32% chance to see something crazy to get down to this type of area. Happy Friday, Lee. How you doing? And you're welcome, John. I hope that was helpful in some way. At least give you some kind of insight to be like, okay, do I want to stick in this, you know? NVIDIA on the weekly, I believe it doesn't have... It has the rejection divergence that can pop up, if I remember correctly. If you look at this from the weekly scale, this is why I think people are right to be talking about double top. This is why today really matters. You notice that this wasn't curled up until really like the last day here. It was curled up a little bit yesterday and a little bit now today. But if that can reject, that would be a bad sign. If that curls up, it has some time to go higher, and then we'll see if that completes, right? We still need this to reject down pretty good here. Looks like almost indecision bar. But yeah, you see this. This is where we were paying attention to for the drop because of the RSI. And we said that's probably just going to be a pullback. Maybe we try to go make a new high. All right, we curl up. Awesome. So we curl up. Great. If that remains, then the most likely thing is to head up. But if that rejects early on in the week and we just completely turn down, cross back down on that MACD, then you're like, okay, that is divergence, right? It can be very tight here. That's why we really want to see if like daily scales are turning down. If daily scale turns down, then you could say, ooh, that's not going to be good going for next week, right? If we go through a daily pullback next week, you will be confirming weekly divergence. And the main reason that's bad is because if that's going to confirm any kind of thing that looks like weakness, I want to pay attention to, especially on the weekly, because that can roll over these monthlies. And these are divergence points to pay attention to, right? Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, consolidation, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks there. 10 out of the last, I would say 12 weeks. You pretty much had 12 weeks of positivity. That's a lot of positivity. I know we've gotten some wicks down at times, but it's a lot of positivity. It's a big bullish run. Curled up, positive territory, consolidate, curls up. We noticed some things down here that said, hey, this is going to cross up, right? October 23rd was when we called the bottom for that. Or not October 23rd. It was like October. We used Apple to do it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the divergence down here. Yeah, October 27th. Was when we were saying, hey, this can start to squeeze to the upside. Watch if it builds structure. It just never did. That was, I remember saying back here, I was like, this has even surprised me a little bit how bullish that got, because we didn't really make great structure to head higher. Here, we did not make structure to head higher. Here, we finally started to move sideways a little bit. And then we curl up. So, yeah, from the monthly scale, though, this looks like one of the worst times to invest. Doesn't mean stocks can't go higher. It's just if I'm trying to hold something for 2 years, it's not saying, hey, this is the best thing. Even if we went higher, you have to think of it this way too. It's like, if we're going to see some kind of boom and this thing's not going to turn down for, say, 5 years, well, you might do this, consolidate, and then turn down, and buying in the same area would look a lot better. Does that make sense? Because this would curl down for a moment and then curl back up, and buying in the same exact area would still look good. So even though this can head higher, is it a smart thing to do for me to get into something for, say, 2 years? I wouldn't say so. I'm not going to. GLT might have a different argument, right? That's trying to base out with monthly divergence, right? That's why we were paying attention to 8250. We talked about that a lot in the past, and it was like the perfect buy. $123. Yeah, we can try to check on silver real quick. Ah, shoot. I don't remember the ticker for silver futures, but we can look at SLV for now. Silver getting that nice move up, kind of following gold a little bit, but you really wanted to make sure you see how you gapped above the main resistance here. You see how there's a bunch of wicks. We touch, we drop, we touch, drop off, touch, drop off, touch, drop off, go a little bit higher, drop dramatically off. Then we go up towards that area, just shy of it, just a little bit, drop off, and then we gap above it. So that is a decent sign for silver. And trying to curl up on a daily scale in positive territory. It wasn't even overbought during this run. So not a bad look if that can curl up. And right now you're seeing all the swing trade signals, or at least 2 of them were popping up. The price action, I'd say here, but that looked a little close. But technically here is 2 of the swing trade signals, not all 3. Yeah, we looked at AV, or no, did we? I don't think we looked at AVGO yesterday. Broadcom here, you're just noticing that, well, we're heading to the other, like this is still a bullish trend. So there's nothing really saying like, oh, this is extremely overbought, we have big divergences or anything like that. This just looks like, hey, we're reacting to the key level. All right, we're trying to consolidate before we break through. Do we need more consolidation? That's kind of what I'm wondering at this point, because we're kind of falling flat a little bit. We're not reacting all the way, I would say, all the way up to the high. Right, you'd really like to get all the way up there, then see that start to pull down. So one thing to do here is just be like, okay, 2 things I need to pay attention to. If the 2-hour drops down, we might start a negative trend, right? It's going into negative territory. That's not a good thing. The other side of that would be the 30-minute. If the 30-minute can base out at any time and curl back up, well, then you have daily momentum with you and you're not overbought. So that daily upside is still there. Hood, I need to look at their platform a little bit more, by the way. I know we checked on it yesterday. Hood, for the most part, giving divergence up here for some kind of pullback. Looks like you're pulling back with time right now. You notice that you're just consolidating. Consolidating. And you do have divergence just on the RSI, not on the MACD at the same time. So that means this is likely to be a pullback, especially when you're that high up on the MACD. So that just tells me I need to see, is this holding? It is. So anytime that even the hourly, I think the hourly here will be right by the center line. If that hourly can cross up, you break through these levels, hey, you can go make a new high, right? That's what it looks like. And then if it would make that high and then turn back around, then you know, okay, now there's some extreme weakness there. Because there is weakness here. You see the divergence points. You see the divergence points at the same time. But that's why I don't use hourly charts, because a lot of the time they'll pop up and then you'll be convinced that that has to play out because they're pretty significant a lot of the time on the hourly. But hourly triple divergence is where I would read into it when it's closer to the center line. So you see how it pop up here could lead to some downside. So what I would be doing if I wanted to get into a short position with Hood, right? This is how kind of, we talk about this in the course. Those are going to be still 90% off, okay? Most likely till the end of November. So for the most part here, we're going to give you a little insight into how we use those ranges. Well, if I see this look and I go, okay, there could be upside, but it's really been heading up for a long time. Okay, and I want to see, hey, I see the environment of the SPY, I see the environment of the Qs, I see those. Well, maybe I'm looking for more of a short position if I wanted to in the stock, and I see that a weekly range is right here. Maybe the downside is right here for next week. Do I trade the upside? I can. If this curls up, and then I make a weekly range for next week, it curls up, it crosses, I take a play, and then I see it go up to that weekly expected move, I can say, okay, that's all the options market has priced in, let me take profit, right? And maybe that goes a little bit past it. Maybe it goes like this, and then it starts to cross back down into it. And when it crosses back down into it, is that forming a divergence point? That's then crossing over. Because if so, then this swing trade could immediately turn into a position trade, a position style trade, more of a divergence type of play. And then you see those divergences and you go, okay, cool. Now this, maybe I just want to play that to mid-range. Maybe I say, hey, when that gets to mid-range, or if it does, you always got to manage the trade in case something crazy happens. But maybe if that curls down into the center, I can take some profit there and then just kind of play with house money and see if that continues down. And then maybe it's at this point by next week, we get some kind of bounce. And then I say, okay, let me make those new ranges. Then it gets there, right? It's always just a game of back and forth, right? But for now, you would say, hey, hourly curls up, good. Swing trade to the upside. Then if it hits a weekly range next week and makes a divergence, I can go, okay, good. Now I can take some downside. Maybe I just be, gentle with it because this is a very bullish trend. Like in the actual market, we're still very bullish overall in the shorter time frames and the bigger ones, right? Those have not curled fully down. Qs have curled down on the daily, but nothing else really has. So if I'm going to do that, then I have to know, okay, maybe I do need to take profit early just in case that positive trend continues. Does that make sense? That's how I would look into it, Elias. That's how I like to play things. And a lot of the time, I'm not even taking this swing, right? I just want to see if that sets up. Hey, that's perfectly fine, Elias, yeah. And try to get it while you can, but I know. Everyone's different. For the most part, though, that's what we're trying to teach with. If you get both of the courses, it's like $150 right now to get both courses. And then you see how I can utilize both in my trading. At one moment, I can use the swing trade. Then I say, okay, next week I make the ranges up to here, I take profit. Then when that turns down, I look for a crossover right by the center line. It's very, very cool. That's how I like to do things. So I'll have a swing trade that turns into a divergence trade. Like, sometimes within like 3 days, they turn into each other. So pretty cool. American Express CEO says U.S. consumer is stable, but spending is lower than post-pandemic levels. CFO says impact of Fed rate cuts on our net interest income is actually quite small. Interesting. You'll notice this too, like look at this. Now we're making this. You see it on the hourly. It's starting to pop up on multiple time frames. The main one we got to pay attention to, we need that 30-minute to come back. So is the SPY actually crossing up this MACD? No. Are the Qs? Yes, but look at the wicks. So this is not the most strong thing in the world right now. And the Qs are the ones that confirm down on the daily. And still confirm down, right? It's going to need bullishness in order for that to actually turn up. So gotta still pay attention if this can rotate back down. The SPY has not rotated back up. And now you're starting to see a little divergence pop up for volatility. You don't want to read into it too much. You don't want to be like, okay, now we have to crash next week or something like that, right? We always say this can extend for some time, but as those weeklies get closer and closer and closer to probably dying out in momentum on the daily time frames, we have to say, okay, we have to pay attention if there's weakness, if those weeklies cross. So that's why I'm kind of taking my foot off the gas on a lot of the upside. That's all I'm trying to do. But that was very good, Elias. Thank you for asking that question, because I think it's a lot of fun to explain that in real time, because that's like pretty much how I trade. And a lot of the times when I swing, I'm not even using options or something like that. I'm just like, yeah, let me buy it, make a little 5-10%, and then use that 5 or 10% for the next trade for the downside if it forms that divergence. So I can use one trade to almost pay for the next one. In some cases. Very, very fun. Wow, I don't know why. I'm in good spirits today. Who's in good spirits today? Say something. You know, we should have a little positivity time right now. Say something positive in the chat. Anything. You can compliment someone in the chat. You can just say, I enjoyed my coffee this morning. You could say, I'm excited for the weekend. I don't know. Sounds like a good idea. When are we going to have a pullback? Well, your main signal for a pullback, you still need these dailies to cross down. Okay, you still need the daily to cross down. I think you're very, very close. Okay, I think you're very, very close. That's why we're talking about it a lot more serious, I would say, this week. Here, we're like, hey, we do have some signals you have to watch out for. And then we go, okay, that based out and now it's crossing up. Okay, awesome. So we might go new all-time high again, right? And then we say, now we have to watch if this forms some kind of topping signal. Now you have it. So right now, you do have the signals to potentially see a pullback, like a more meaningful pullback. You do have them. Hope tons of money. Hope people print tons of money today. I hope so too. Everyone's beautiful. That's all. Body positivity, right, Chris? For this right here, though, this is where you need to pay attention. This has two things at once. This is great, and people will pay attention. They'll say that's flagging. They'll say, let's get bullish. They'll say that. But you need that to cross up. You need that to cross up. Okay, once that crosses up, where do you have if we're going to get somewhere today? Well, you have a daily, and you have a weekly. So if that would see, that's why it's like this morning. If we would have seen some crazy move like this and then just turned down, you might have just went like that and made another little divergence point. And that's where you want to be like, okay, that's a trap. But for now, it just hasn't curled up yet. So that's all you're waiting for. You still have the reversal signal. It is still intact. It is still intact. Hey, Elias, thank you so much for the $2 saying you help me have a good spirit, Lucas. And that's what we're trying to do around here. We're trying to learn. People come in, they say bad things sometimes about what I say, and I'm like, well, what you're saying means you didn't watch the whole video. Because if you watch the entire video, guys, sometimes at the end when we talk about volatility, it's important because you need to understand one thing. This is what we were looking for a short squeeze, and look at volatility dropping down, right? We were looking for that to cross over. Now, am I fully convinced this is going to short squeeze for days and days? Not necessarily. Now, why is that? And this, the only reason I'm explaining this is because I talk about volatility at the end of the video, and I know a lot of people like, you'll look at your stock, you'll maybe pay attention to the SPY and the Qs, but it's good, even if you want to, maybe pay attention to yours, pay attention to SPY, Qs, but then go pay attention to volatility when we talk about it. Because this means short squeeze. So that is potential there. The only reason that I'm hesitant to say, oh, short squeeze this time, right? This time we said short squeeze. This time over here, short squeeze. Over here, I'm hesitant because this is saying short squeeze before, and we still have room to cross that 50. And we're still above the 200, so it's a little bit more worrisome. So it doesn't mean I can't take swing ups if 2 hours are curling up and those type of things, but I just need to pay attention if there's any kind of reversal signal for volatility. And right now, you're trying to form some kind of reversal signal, so I'm going to pay attention for a little bit. And if this, just ends up going down even further, then what are we going to see? We're going to see the 30-minute cross up for the SPY, and I'll know exactly what to do, right? But I would say, and I think PCs, I think you're bringing up something good there, the low volume. But I would say this, I don't think that this was some kind of blip. I think that this took the market maker off guard. Notice that we have remained in these daily moves for a little bit now. Notice we've remained in those daily moves. Where did we react to as of yesterday? Where did we open up the daily expected move? Right on it. And we faded it, but we landed inside the move. Here, we landed outside of the weekly expected move, which market makers don't like, especially going into options expiration. So what do? Oh, shoot it higher. Let's keep it up at elevated levels now. It wouldn't even be surprising to me to do that, right? Market maker pricing in maybe to go to that area up there. But I need to pay attention if that turns back up. Hey, thanks for saying that, BK. Heroin? Pacific time. What time do you have to wake up, Sid? Be honest. A little dead. Sometimes, lately, I've noticed a lot this year. Options expiration, like the big ones, the third week OPEX. A lot of these OPEX in the third week are kind of slow lately, which is very interesting. 5 a.m. Well, I did wake up at 5:30 a.m. today, actually, though. Baby girl did not. She's got a big I don't know if you guys can see it when I do have the camera on, but I've got some freaking beaver teeth in the front here. Got some beaver teeth in the front here. Like, you put a piece of wood in front of me, whew, that thing's gonna get chopped in half. So she's got a big front tooth growing in, and I feel bad because I gave her that. But she's struggling to sleep a little bit, so. Oh God, you guys know me and my sleep. It's not been pretty. But here you go. Still paying attention to reversals here. If this would cross up, then we could say, okay, maybe this is going to extend, right? Because that daily chart is still crossed up, right? If that is going to cross up, we have more potential for NVIDIA to remain positive on a weekly scale. But you can see it in the daily. You can see it very briefly in the daily. If we cross down here, this says pull back a little bit, just because your RSI was able to get overbought and then it turned down. The only thing is this has not even confirmed yet. If you know about confirmations with divergence on the RSI, it's when you see that actually point down. So this would need a distribute. It would need a day of selling, right? You would need a thick day of selling, kind of like over here. You would need another one of those, and then that would turn down and say, okay, now NVIDIA is overall, you would still say pulling back. Amazing how much money is put to work. Yeah, and it's going to have to grow and grow and grow and grow. It's going to have to get bigger every single time. Oh, drug. Drug was funny. Like, I saw some people talking about this. This is super interesting. So if you just look at a 2-hour chart, though, guys, and we spread this out, I was looking at this a little bit. It was so flat and then just started to go up out of nowhere. But where is it on the MACD? So if you happen to be paying attention to this, and it curled up, well, what did you have here? You want to know what you had down here? It's very hard to see, but if I really spread it out, you can see it. What did you have down here before this went up? You had a divergence on the MACD. You had a divergence on the RSI right there at the same time. Pretty crazy, right? So that actually told you right here. This first big bar up confirmed it, got you above all the moving averages, and look at that thing. It's just tearing to the upside. And what did you do next, right? We tear to the upside. What happens to stocks if they tear down or tear up really fast? They react down to the 5. You notice the blue line, right? That's the 5-day, not a 5 on the 2-hour. That's the 5-day moving average just on a smaller time frame. And you'll notice this. It reacts to the 5, immediately gets that push up. So very, very cool behavior there, but you did have a divergence at the low. I was looking at it and I was like, damn, I got to figure out a way to find these crazy stocks that end up popping who have these divergences. Because I've seen Koss had it, Chewy had some at some point. I haven't tried it too much on penny stocks because I always, I say this a lot of the time. We say it in the course. We try to get you to really understand why patience is important. And it's because the fastest way to make money in the market is the slow way, right? It's the slow way. So if I want the slow way and I'm trying to play all these penny stocks, that's kind of the opposite, right? Unless I have a good chunk of money and I can just do investment styles with like daily divergences or 2 hours, maybe I take a play on it every once in a while just so I don't lose too much. And that would have been good here. That would have been pretty good here because even from this point, I'll just take a random point. That's 2,300%. So Doug's got a question. Put it out there, Doug. Yeah, it's true. And that's something I don't like to look at news, especially because every single news thing is about politics now. So it's hard for me to just look at news all the time because I'm like, I'm just like annoyed by it at this point. I'm like, I already know who I'm voting for, and that's good enough for me. I tried to watch the Kamala interview because I like to look at both sides. I'm not someone who just blindly puts a vote out there, even though a lot of people around me would say your vote doesn't really matter. It's like, whatever, I don't care. I think it's a good thing to do. But yeah, I pay attention to both sides, and then I saw that interview, and I was like, God, yeah, this is why I just don't watch politics anymore. I was like, this interview sucks. It's like I didn't learn anything from that interview, which kind of sucks. Okay, you think that open gap on IWM on the 4-hour chart, 218.97, could get filled? Ooh, okay, so there is one above us, huh? No? Okay, wait, one more time. Open gap, oh, it's below us, sorry, 218. Well, you still got to get to 223. Okay, with gaps, it is good to bring up a daily sometimes just to make sure there is a gap, because 218, I see that this is not a gap. I see that this one filled with the wick, not the body of the candle. And then we see that there's no gap here. And the only gap you have is this right here. So that's actually at 223. But let me look at it on a 4-hour to see what you are seeing. 218. 218. Yeah, there's no real gaps in here. Unless I'm just seeing it incorrectly. Look at that 4-hour divergence though for IWM. As we're making divergences at a weekly. So I don't know if you're seeing it wrong. Maybe I'm not seeing exactly what you're talking about completely. Okay, yeah, the only gap you really want to pay attention to is, well, what is this? Tuesday to Wednesday, so right here. So you can mark that off if you want, just put a little boop somewhere in that general area and say that's a gap, okay? That'll help you keep track of it. Oh, not finding it. We're just finding a gap. Yeah. Can it go down to there? Of course, it can always react down to that level. And that's kind of a key level too. It's within liquidity. This highs in that area. So that general area is not a bad one. It's just you'd have to break through this, pull down. And if you pull down that far, you might be crossing this over, which means, ooh, that might be bad. I don't use max pain for anything besides like, hey, the only time I really pay attention to max pain, I don't really use it in my strategies too much. The only thing I'm paying attention to with max pain is like, I'll look at max pain and see if my weekly ranges have a high call wall, have a high put wall. You know what I'm saying? So for, the SPY, if I was looking at this and let's say today, let's say on the daily, and I look at max pain for the day, and max pain is like, okay, yeah, the max pain is 586. 586. Well, where is that? That's right here. Or not max pain, sorry. There's a big call wall at 586. Well, then I know that that can be a wall of resistance, which means it just piles up more resistance towards this, right? That's the only way I really look into max pain. I look at it for levels to pay attention to, I guess. And if they happen to be around a weekly, I pay attention to that even more. But more so just saying, okay, I can trust this line more, right? Because there's tons of lines you can put on a chart. You need to find a way to be like, do I actually trust this trend? Do I trust the level that the trend could get hit? Do I have 3 points? Do I trust the fact that this weekly range is at this level? Let's put likes in a bull trend, guys. Luke said, hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, NF, and I think you asked pretty damn good questions. You gotta tell which NF are you looking at? Or NF, sorry, I typed NF because your name is NF. I'm being silly. I'm being a silly Sally. For Baba, you have a 30-minute divergence here that says a 2-hour can turn up. So what does that tell me? That tells me this 2-hour can bounce. But I want to think about this for a second, right? I want to think about this because even though that 30-minute, it looks like a good one, it might mean I need to take profit a little bit earlier. Now, why would I already be thinking to take profit a little bit earlier? Because you do have the chance to react up, maybe fill a gap with a 2-hour bounce. But the reason that I'm already thinking like, hey, next week, maybe I'll make a, if I'm going to take this play, I'm going to make a weekly expected move. And that weekly expected move, just say it happens to be there. Maybe it's a little spread out. Well, if that 2-hour gets to here, what's the options data is saying, well, 68% chance we land below this. So if I go fill that gap, and then I turn back down, well, does this have good reversal signals to be in a bullish trend for a long time? Not necessarily. It can, right? You always want to pay attention to if that thing curls back up, but if it does this, then I might say, okay, I'm going to take profit at the gap, see if that turns back down. If it turns back down, maybe in a couple weeks we have a level like this, and that creates a divergence down here for the double bottom, or at least towards a weekly expected move. And then I can say, okay, now that's the big opportunity, right? I'm not saying this isn't an opportunity. I'm just saying I'm looking for the even better opportunity to be in this a little bit longer. And that would be with a 2-hour divergence. Right now, you're just kind of stair-stepping, right? You stair-step down, move sideways, stair-step down, weren't able to turn back up into positive territory, okay. But this was a major breakdown. So if that's gonna react somewhere, it most likely will react to this level right here, starting at 106.18, maybe a little lower, 106. But for the most part, that's how I want to look into it. There's not great reversals here. Maybe we're going to go make one in the future. That's the look I would more be paying attention to. It's rough at times because you lose on the day. That's why I don't day trade. Day traders, I think it's like 5% of day traders are successful, and that is a mutually exclusive percentage. So every single day, it's kind of like a coin flip, right? You flip a coin, 50-50. Well, the next one, you would say, oh, I hit heads last time, so I have a better chance of hitting tails. Technically, no, you still have 50-50. So every single day, technically, day traders, at least with historical data, have about a 5% chance to make money, or 5% of the day traders make money. That's why I just don't do it. I'd rather position, reposition. I'd rather position, reposition. I think that's the better way to be. Yeah, VIX still dropping, so this could be reacting down. Let's see that test of the 50, not reversing around this 30 minutes. See that? The divergence is starting to go away. So that's telling us more of a squeeze. More of a squeeze can take place. But is the SPY participating like you're talking about? No, it's not. Just very interesting. Dollar is dropping off a little bit. Are people going to puts, though? They're not. Maybe they do want to force this thing higher next week. Maybe they do, but because people are all taking calls at this point on the day, they're like, we don't want to pay that out today. You know? And it's sad that they can do that. It is. I would rather it just be supply and demand right? I'd rather it just be, hey, there's a supply of this, and these are the people competing for those at this price of the stock, right? That's what I'd want it to be. Unfortunately, people, they literally came out and said they do it. They said they do it, so. You can see even the volatility of volatility giving a slight divergence down here, but not producing, right? It's just pointing straight down. We want to take it for what it is right now, and this would tell me, hey, I don't need to buy shorts or buy puts or buy calls on volatility just yet, right? Maybe at this level I can hold on to a position, right? That's what I'm overall doing. I see this, I go, okay, I'm gonna hold on to a position. If this starts to drop, then I'll know it's good stuff. But the SPY hasn't turned back up to tell me, hey, manage the trade or anything like that. Ooh, HG finally doing it. There you go. Okay, turning back down. 2 hour, confirmed. Daily, confirmed again. So you're still in overall pullback mode. So watch the 20, watch this level right here, actually, 405. Watch for any kind of basing out there. But for the most part, you would say a big reaction down might be the right move, right? A big reaction to retest the highs, 395.50, something like that, would be good. You got a little bundle in here. So what you're looking for is this to just get by that center line and curl back up, right? Earnings might have to come into play. We don't like that, but earnings make sense. You want to have earnings, right? You just wish you knew, you kind of wish it was like, hey, if there's bad numbers and they say one good thing, then hey, you can see that reaction up. That's why it's like so sketchy around earnings. It's enticing. It is. It's hard to sit. It's hard to be patient. You're seeing it and you're like, I can see it play out this way. But just because you can see it playing out that way doesn't mean it's proven to happen. And just note, as volatility keeps dropping here, if it does turn up and we see the 2 hour cross, you're still going to get a good price, right? It's like you're still going to get a good price on your stuff. Because what is the opposite side of your thinking doing right now? They're all getting calls. So it's just something like that to pay attention to. And then if the SPY turns up, you can take calls to the upside. You know what I mean? It's hard. What is Okla? Okla? Oklo. Oh, God. You do have a 30-minute divergence right now if that would turn back down, but that is turning up and turning up with some steam behind it. Good thing about this one, actually, on the 30-minute. Double bottom divergence here. Yeah, double bottom rejection divergence at the low. Right there. Curled back up. Boom, with this strong bar. Very, very good. Took back the 5. Have we lost the 5? No. So you just ride that bad boy up, curl down, maybe take a little bit off the table, but for the most part, bigger time frames, you can see daily just scaling and scaling and scaling. Not the best reversal signals. You have a little 2 hour right here. The little 2 hour divergence said, hey, the daily's going to cross. Did it have great reversal signals? No. On the daily scale, you won't get them all the time. You just have like kind of a divergence way across. Maybe you have weekly or something. But if we look at this low, there's most likely a 2 hour or 1 hour little divergence there. Yeah, and you see at the rejection divergence there at the lows for the 2 hours saying, hey, this can be a potential bottom for a little bit and push us into positive territory. And that's exactly what ended up happening this whole time. And now you've just been in positive trend. So 2 hour swings, right? Good bar here, swing up, boom. Maybe there's weekly expected move here, right? That's why you make weekly expected moves for these. This one right here, curled up, boom. Good look. Yeah, Sid, get some good sleep. It's Friday. Don't take any plays that are going to ruin your weekend too, right? Always good on the weekend sometimes to be like, hey, if I have a bad feeling, maybe I'll just, even not doing anything is taking responsibility for your trading, right? If you're realizing, hey, I'm in a state where I can't figure it out, I'm in a state where the market looks funky, I'm in a state where what I'm doing isn't working, well, then sometimes sitting on your hands is still taking responsibility for your trading, right? You are taking control, which is very, very good. I do that plenty of times, right? I think there was like a whole 3-week period where people were like, what play are you taking? I was like, I don't see anything clear, so I'm not taking anything. It's hard to do. It's hard to sit there on the sidelines for that long, but you're like, hey, I don't see anything clear. I'm chilling. And then I think shortly after that, we saw the divergence for NVIDIA, and I took that play, and it was fantastic. So and it's understandable to want to sit on your hands when you have a weekly that looks like this. Like, it's understandable, and maybe you just say, okay, if that weekly turns down, I'm going to take a 3-month option or something like that, you know, 2-month option. But for the most part, you're just like, okay, this is a bad signal. This is a macro signal, so you don't want to mess around with it, because 30 minutes can stay oversold, overbought for a long time. For a long, long time. Weeklies, man, those take some time to get oversold, so that can be some downward pressure. 30-minute curl up here. Bitcoin about to cross up on the weekly, yes, and also curled up on the 2-hour. The only thing to be aware of for weakness with Bitcoin is going to be this 2-hour just curled up. Once we do get this breakthrough, watch if it makes that divergence point again. But other than that, Bitcoin looks pretty good, right? This is a great thing to do. You consolidate a little bit, go up. Consolidate a little bit, go up. All right, thanks, Sid. Have a good little nap. Yeah, they have to build liquidity too, Elias. If they need a big drop, or they're going to have a big drop, or we're going to experience a big drop, usually you do have some form of liquid. I mean, even if we look in the past over here, we could have easily just dropped right here, but instead we get that next move up to build a little bit more, and then we plunge. Then that only got us to here. We had to cross back up into our zone to get more liquidity. Then we had to cross back up to that zone to get more liquidity. Then we went back up into that zone to get more liquidity, right? And this is where we saw those signals from NVIDIA. Pretty sure. Or no, this was the Qs, right? No, this was the Qs that helped us out here. NVIDIA helped us out over here. Two-hour curls up, we should expect positivity from the Qs. 30-minute curls up, we should expect positivity. And 2-hour cross up, positivity for the SPY. A little bit worried about options expiration, but other than that, this has not curled up yet, so I don't have to do anything. I just want to make sure. Oh boy. All right, I'm gonna click through on my other charts for a second just to see if anything's setting up. Yeah, let's click through these. Apple, watch for that. If the 30-minute does turn down, hourly turns down, a little more clear. Right, Apple trying to make that move up. Awesome. Good move. Then you want to see, ooh, if that turns back down, this might be another trap above there. We've seen it before, right? We've already seen one up there. Watch out if there's another one. If that can remain up here, that would be more of a good thing. Tesla finally taking back the 5. 30 minutes going positive now. Finally taking back the 5. That's good. Still very negative on things like the 2-hour. Still very negative. So all of this could just be a retest if we see positivity, but it was able to take back the 5. Let's see, what else? Amazon still remaining in the overall flagging on the 2-hour, but trying to cross up. Notice that is trying to cross up. So on the 30-minute here, Cross down, cross right back up. A little bit confusing there for Amazon. That's what I'm saying, like sitting on your hands sometimes looks a little confusing. Not the best look there. NVIDIA not seeing extreme positivity. I still think the signal I want to watch is the hourly. If that hourly can cross down, then I'm saying, okay, that's pretty damn good confirmation that this thing is going to pull back. Keep looking through. AMD trying to make the double bottom. You can see on the 30-minute, AMD really trying to reject there, give you that double bottom. So if that could take back the 5, we kind of turn that 5 back around, could be a good sign for AMD. Meta, I don't really like the look of Meta, right? Didn't come down to reject lower. If we rejected a little lower, I'd read more into it. Relatively controlled. We keep getting rejected at one of our breakdown areas, right? This level right in here of 583.50-ish, right in there. See the wicks coming in. So watch if the 30-minute does cross down, that would be bad. The 2-hour, notice that's trying to cross up. That's when it would be good. The 30-minute for Microsoft as well. Once again, another one that's looking a little flaggy in here. 2-hour, close to the center line. Watch if that does cross down, go negative. Kind of flip back and forth. That's why I'm, once again, another one that's a little bit harder. So look for if the 30-minute and the 2-hour can do it at the same time. But does that mean you have to crash down? No, the 30-minute can make something here, right? We can get a fake out. Let me keep clicking through. Google interesting. Google is interesting because a little bit steeper on the 30-minute flag, I would say. And you just want to see, can this really turn up and go positive? And maybe you want to more look at the hourly here as it's closer to the center line, right? See if a bigger time frame can confirm that. Take back the 5, take back all the moving averages. Hey, you can get a reaction here. Netflix with a great move to the upside. Even with all the divergence points. Crazy good move. Let's see if we got something here. You are coming, you're going right up to the previous trend for Netflix. If you see, if I draw that trend up, you look on the daily, where are you heading to right now? Where you're going directly to it? No reversal signs probably in that though. Just a big gap up. AMC holding it right now. Just a green day would be good for AMC. A red day for GME is not good, right? You don't want to curl over the 2-hour. And that's starting to look a little more likely, right? We're kind of struggling. So if we don't want that 2-hour to curl over, well, we probably have to hold up a little bit today, aka we need the 30-minute to cross back up into positive territory for this not to cross down. All right, that's pretty much what I see across the board there. Now let's go check on this. Still dropping off for volatility. Volatility really says the SPY should make that new high. Are we just going to get rid of the short-term reversal signals? We might have to look for new ones. Even though the weekly scale is still holding, and this was very significant. Maybe it's just options expiration tomfoolery. But yeah, I gotta text my brother real quick, guys. Let's see if my And Frankie, thank you so much for grabbing the course there. Let me know how it goes. Or sorry, Frankie. Frank, let me see how that goes for you. Then we are on our journey to grow our community together, guys, to 10K. We're almost there in only about a year. We've helped, I hope we've helped a bunch of people. I think we have, because this growing has continued, so I appreciate it. That's all hats off to you guys. Every like counts. Here. It's way too thick. Sorry, I'm drawing on my other chart just to see if I can get this line set up. Ooh. Interesting. We'll take the wick. Maybe not. Might be better not to take the wick, because it gets you closer to touching here, but we'll include the wick for now. 1, 2, 3. Looks like a decent trend line. See if we can break above that. Just a ton of lines on the chart, and actually I want to make these blue so we know what we're doing. All right, we're back. Nvidia is breaking down. Subscribing is worth every penny. Hey, thank you so much, John. Thank you for saying that. I really do appreciate it. I hope to continue to be helpful for you, genuinely. And thank you for saying that, Martin. You guys are fantastic. I appreciate the compliments, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if I ever seem like I'm saying something wrong, feel free to call me out, right? This is not a one-way thing where I think I know everything. I want you guys to call me out if you're seeing something differently, and we can talk about it. Nvidia starting to break down. The big thing here is still that hourly. So we can leave it on the hourly here for a little bit. As we start to finish up the stream, we'll just watch it for a little bit. And let's go look at McDonald's, because an hourly, that's going to take a little bit. 36 minutes left in that. So let's go look at McDonald's. Ooh, this might be a 30-minute. See, this is where I wish I had weekly expected move for this. If someone's using Thinkorswim right now, might go look at this. I don't have my Thinkorswim up right now. I don't want to... pretty much what I'm doing is I'm not really keeping my plays up right now. I want to take all the... On my other computer, what I'm trying to do today is I'm like, I feel like I should sit on my hands with my positions, with my position on volatility still. And so what I want to do is not give myself the ability to even buy something just yet till I see something. But 30-minute divergence here for that guy. And Thinkorswim's weekly ranges are off. They're a little bit off. That's why I don't like them. But if I had a weekly range, this would be cool. For the most part, though, we're scooping up. And we're getting a little bit steep here. Okay, so if that turns down, bad. But all this is saying good, right? This is still saying good. This has room on the MACD to go. Not necessarily room on the RSI, but it could, right? This first move was great. So maybe the second move will be great. Okay, awesome. So I can say, hey, I'll take this, and that'll be good. All right, up. And then if it turns back down, I go, oh, okay, now I know. That is a bad play, right? That might be turning down. That's all I would really say about McDonald's. 2 hour not really showing much. 4 hour getting rid of the divergence points right now. So this could be a whole new trend. And you see the daily scale getting rid of it too. So this could be a whole thing on its own. QQQ with a big red candle. Remember this one, it curled back up into positive territory. Now we gotta see if it curls down. We do have a lot of people to the call side. See if volatility can base out. Probably needs to do it. It needs to start turning up now because you're about to get rid of some divergence points here. It's still a little bit up down there. It's definitely significant on the MACD, just not significant on the RSI. So SPY, I think the Qs would be still good to watch on the 30-minute here. See if that curls down. And remember this, remember the key thing here too. We're above the level, your 68% zone for the rest of the year is below this, right? It's below this guy right here, the thick red one. What color should we make that? I feel like we should make this a different color. Maybe we'll make it like a bright color. Like a pink one. Do I have the downward move on here? I know I did it for the Qs because I just wanted to see how it would happen. And you'll notice this, remember? We get outside of it, boom. We get outside of it, boom. We get outside of it. What happens next, folks? Interesting, as we've confirmed downside right here for the Qs. You just got to see if those shorter time frames can follow. Zoom, zoom, zoom. This right here, there it is. All the way down there. 326 is as low as you can go for the entire year. 68% chance zone. Magenta or cyan. Well, I think I used kind of like that type of blue for trends and structure. We do CRM. Yeah, we can go look at CRM real quick. Salesforce here. Daily pullback would be nice, and you're probably making a bunch of little 2-hour divergences at this point. Yeah, now you're trying to get that next curl up. So it doesn't mean it has to be bearish, right? You still need that thing to go negative. This could be just consolidation to break through. So if that curls up, we should expect positivity. If it goes up for just a brief moment and turns back down, then you'd say, okay, this thing needs to pull back on the daily scale. But if this turns up and kind of gets rid of those divergences, and then you would say, okay, now it's starting a new trend. Look for those pullbacks on the 30-minute, look for the pullbacks on the 2-hour. But you see how close we are to the center line. So if you do something like that and fade it quickly, that's when you want to watch out. But if it doesn't fade quickly, it sees that upward push. You see this RSI just go bam through the roof. Okay, awesome. Now I want to see if that can continue. Oh my gosh. You can't really get it right now, Ifoma. I can try to do a calculation, but it's going to calculate from the price that it's at right now because I don't have the correct options data. Let's do it for fun though. I just have to rebuild a whole new thing here. Screw it. Netflix, what's it priced at right now? I'll calculate this real quick. Hitting a trend. So it is at 760. We'll just say 761.22. Oh. Not on here. Okay, and then we can go. Well, now I gotta pull this up. It's better to have it the night before, obviously. And you might not want to read into this too much, but we're just doing it for fun. This is going to change really fast, so I'm just going to look at the first point I see, 63.80. So if the data didn't really change from last night, then you could technically say it was looking for about a 25-point move. How much did that move? It's moved like 50. So from right here, it's saying it could move technically 25 points. Doesn't have to. That's just your zone. It could land anywhere in there, but you'd say 25 points up or down from here by end of day would make some sense. But I don't like to read into that too much. That's why I'm not going to even put it up on the board here. But it is saying like 735 would be the lowest. You just don't want to read into it. It's better when the options data is static at the end of the day afterwards, or the the day before, so Thursday. That's why we put out daily expected moves. Sorry, I'm far away from the mic. That's why we put out daily expected moves on Patreon the night before. So what else has seen like good upside? Like AMC, a little bit good there. It said 448 is the highest you could get. So daily expected move for AMC is way up here. 448, above our 437. That's a good looking move so far. Holding. What's another one that's seen some pretty good upside? What's the IWM one? Oh, IWM turning down still here. This is where your timing might just be, right? Remember, manage the trade, 30-minute divergence. Okay, if the 15-minute curls up, hey, that could go positive. But as it's flagging and starts to curl down, you'd go, okay, now it's starting to add up to, this could be a almost lower high. Yeah, just barely a lower high. Okay, anything else move? Apple. Apple would be an interesting one. Apple is currently at, right now, it's a daily expected move. You guys are joining, you guys are liking, you guys are subscribing, you guys are doing all the good stuff, so we might as well just tell you that's pretty much right at a daily expected move right now. Like exactly on it. Now, is that going to use as support to head higher, cup and handle in some way, or is this going to start to break down, curl down on the 30-minute, confirming the divergence almost? Well, not necessarily divergence, more of a lower high. Oop, I got text, hold on. All right, let's do something fun here. In the chat, can everyone type hi Elise? No, it's hitting resistance. I don't know if that would really be like, oh, this is a great opportunity. I think it is breaking out, obviously. You'd have to say it's breaking out. Yeah, thanks, John. Keep saying it. Keep saying it. Keep saying it. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say like, oh yeah, this is a great opportunity, but it is breaking out. So I want to pay attention to like things like weeklies if those start to turn back up, but like that's just not a good look. The likelihood of this failing is really high. The risk to reward of a trade like this is very low as far as the reward side, right? If I'm going to get bullish here and I go, oh, the reward's huge. Well, the reward might be, but it also could easily not be because this has been heading up for a long time, making some little points here. You have divergence on the RSI across. You have monthly divergence for Apple. So thank you guys for saying that. My shout out to Elise. Elise is watching on her TV, my niece. She is watching on TV right now. Thank you guys. Hopefully she gets excited, you know. She might be coming over in a little bit. Hopefully. We might have to do some lunch. Use 30-minute. Here we go. This is the important thing, I think, right now still. Okay, so see how that downward bar didn't take us across. Thought on the rumor of Tesla coming out with the privacy cell phone. I think that would be a great thing. I think we are going to see a huge shift to privacy. I think you're going to see a massive shift to privacy, like as an important thing now. If people are smart about it. I mean, I know it's getting more and more important to me every single day. Like every day, privacy becomes more and more important to the point where I'm like, I've already deleted a lot of other apps. I've deleted my previous social media, and now I just have pretty much social media to check stuff that I need to check, like news or anything, what people are talking about, what's trending and that kind of thing. Anyone with info, anything geopolitically happening, I think it comes out on Twitter pretty quick, so I like that. But I'll also have news sources for that. For the most part, I think privacy will become a big thing. I think people will start to get really sick of the fact that you're really only useful if you're a consumer. One thing to note here is this does look a little bit like that cup, right? Key thing there, maybe. That looks like too good of a cup to not pay attention to. Wonder if that's going to turn up like a 2 hour. Sorry, just a random thought here, but 2 hour turns up. And yeah, as far as that goes, I think anything with privacy in it, anything Elon Musk is doing, as long as he does it well, it can be good. As long as the price point's good, it can be good. As long as maybe he sets up manufacturing here in the States for it, then it can be good. You just want to see if the signals confirm your thinking, right? Because Tesla, it might confirm that actually, right? Last month, we had Tesla turning up on a monthly scale. So it's not necessarily saying Tesla's like the worst investment, but look how that's played out so far. That's why I didn't really trust it, because of how the market looks, right? The market looks like, hey, we're maybe forming major tops here, big divergences on big scales. So do I want to get into something for 2 years? Not necessarily, like nothing. I want to look at almost nothing for 2 years. Yet. Till I see Nvidia curl down on the monthly and then curl back up. Then I might buy that with 2 hands. Good thing for the young ones to hear. Someone that's young. They can wait till they get their first job, save up some money, and then maybe by then we'll start to see some downward push, and then those monthlies start to turn back up. Could take years. Especially if we do bear market, like a 5-year bear market would be sick. No, that'd be too long. Maybe like 2 years. Evolution Trader, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for subscribing today. Appreciate you being here. Everyone, welcome them into the chat real quick. CCI. What time frame are you looking at, John? Ooh, that better be like at least a 1 hour swing. 1 hour swing. And you see this too though. See how you're struggling to take back that 5-day? You're struggling to take back that 5. You're seeing that wick at it. So that might tell you just to hesitate for a moment here. Because what you could be doing is doing a cup and handle. Look at that. That would be fantastic. So what do I want to look for? Maybe since it's on the shorter time frames here, well, I want to pay attention if this 50-minute rolls down. That's going to be a big sign for, hey, more downside. But if that doesn't roll down, and it just does this, then I could say, okay, now we're taking back the 5-day. Right? As the 5-day gets to here, it kind of levels out. We cross back above that. You see the good structure. Then you go, okay, now this looks like a good maybe hourly swing trade. And then you got to go over to the hourly chart and be like, is that turning up, right? For the most part, though, just so you're aware, this is also a higher low, which is good because you made structure here to bounce. Then you reject. If you hold up with the higher low, good shot to test the high, maybe go make a new one. I think you're close enough to say that. And then you want to just say, okay, I need to pay attention to weakness at these levels. But for the most part, if that's going to take it back, this might be something a little bigger, right? This might be this cup, this handle, this crosses up, right? I don't think it looks bad. I just don't like that it's kind of rejecting off of the 5-day right now. But it's good to see the 5-day doing this. Now you just got to see if that little microstructure kind of pops up like that. You get back above it, this hourly crosses, and you're, that's where it's like, okay, I have to take I can take a chance, but also if I take a chance, I mean, I can take a play on it, but I can also manage the trade, right? Gotta manage trades in this environment. Post-earnings gap fill. I think you have potential for that. You could just see good structure in the shorter time frames first, and then maybe make a decision, right? A little 15-minute pulling down or pulling back with time, and then you see that cross up. And you even see even a little mini head and shoulders, right? Right shoulder. So you kind of have cup and handle and a right shoulder that could form there. So handle and a right shoulder. I don't dislike the look. I just think you need a little bit more price action to see if it's like, hey, I need to pull the trigger on this, right? You need a little bit more price action. If that just goes like this and you cross up on an hourly, then you can make a decision, manage the trade. All right, 15-minute here, starting to curl up for the SPY. 30-minute hasn't done it yet, but the 15-minute projecting higher is going to give it a chance. See if that can remain. I think you only got 5 minutes left in this, but it is curling up into positive territory. Watch out for divergence at these levels. Still, even on the 15, I would say 30-minute, if that crosses, look for if this is some kind of pop and drop by the end of the day with OPEX. Early voting starts today. Yeah, I gotta see. I vote at the same place every time. I gotta see if that's available. Yeah, John. All right, guys, we're reaching about 10:10 a.m. here for Mia, and that is usually when I have to hop off. So I got to hop off for the day. I do appreciate you guys being here. I will be posting some signals to Patreon if I'm seeing them as the SPY tries to make this upward move, and as we start to potentially squeeze to the upside, right? If volatility can really drop below the daily here, as that continues to drop, we're still above the 50, we're still above the 200, so I got to be a little weary. But I shouldn't necessarily say, okay, everything has to crash down. I don't really have those turnaround signals just yet. So this can leak into a little bit more time. But I'm going to be careful with this over the weekend. I'm still going to be scaling into my position as the SPY has not seen a dramatic upward move. I can hold positions in this area and be pretty comfortable with it. If we go higher and I see another reverse signal, I can, what am I trying to say? I can scale into a play. But if bigger time frames start to continue to turn up, then I can get out of a play and look at my timing just being off there for the most part and look for a signal in the future. So thank you guys so much for watching today. Really do appreciate it. Looks like we got a test of the 5-day moving average, and now we're bouncing off that bad boy. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Have a great day. I think we had a good crowd in here, so I really do appreciate that. If you guys want to learn too over the weekend, those are still going to be on sale until the end of the end of November. All right, end of November. So thank you guys. Have a good weekend. Make sure to do something fun. Don't just stare at charts all weekend too. Do something fun this weekend, all right? Peace out. Make sure to get this, sorry. Let's put this up for you guys, because if that 30-minute crosses up, it still means positivity, and volatility is dropping pretty quick, so at least we have some levels to pay attention to. All right, guys, see ya.